Hey, aloha from Waikiki Beach in beautiful Hawaii. I'm Mike Wolf. Thank you for tuning in. This morning I got an email from somebody saying, shouldn't we be diversified? Why real estate? What's wrong with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, gold, all that stuff? So I want to give you a number of different reasons. The first and one of the biggest is certainly control. When you buy a piece of real estate, you have the ability to cause what's called forced appreciation, which means that basically you don't have to wait for the market to make a move. If you buy a home, you either buy it at a good price or you add value to it by doing renovations. There's ways that you can create forced appreciation and basically lock in a profit right away, whereas with all those other things, you have zero control over what a stock is trading at. You have no control over what gold is doing. You have no control over any of that stuff. And not only that, that brings me to my second point. All those other things are very heavily manipulated. Somebody like Warren Buffett could go on TV tomorrow and say, buy Coca-Cola shares, and all of a sudden everybody jumps into the market. And so somebody like that has a lot of control. There's also a lot of fraud, a lot of crap that goes on behind the scenes. And with real estate, you have a whole lot more control. So if you want to check out some good movies to really drive home those points, watch Inside Job or The Big Short. Both of them talk about how heavily manipulated the markets are. It's ridiculous when you see what goes on behind the scenes. So another really important reason is cash flow. I'm here in Hawaii. I've actually been on a 3-country beach tour. I went to Bali, then I went to Australia, now I'm in Hawaii. All paid for by the money that comes in effortlessly at the end of every month from my properties. So the next reason is cash flow. I know people that live in $2 million homes in Vancouver that are clear title. They bought them a long time ago when things were a lot cheaper, and they don't know how they're going to pay their cell phone bill at the end of the month. And you're going to be in the same boat. If you had $1 million worth of gold underneath your mattress, yeah, on paper you're worth a lot of money, but you can't put food on your table, you can't travel, you can't take time off work to spend time with your kids. You can't do any of that stuff because you are, you're cash poor. And so cash flow is the most important thing. There's things like dividend paying stocks. They pay dividends every so often. The biggest problem with that is when they pay out their dividends, the value of the stock goes down. So even if they weren't manipulated, which they are, and even if they did provide cash flow, well, my homes I look at them as piggy banks, and they spit out money every single month. And even though they spit out money, the piggy bank keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. One, because homes appreciate, and two, rent is tied to appreciation, which means that my rent is going up, and properties that I owned a long time ago that made sense back then are making even more sense as time goes on. They're going up in value. They're giving me more cash flow each and every month, and this happens just totally effortlessly. And I also put teams in place to collect my rent. I'm not dealing with tenants. I don't get phone calls at 3 in the morning with broken toilets. I don't deal with any of that stuff. I've got other people to deal with all that, and the money just shows up in my bank account at the end of every month. So those are some of the main reasons, but one of the biggest reasons that most people don't even know about is back in the olden days, the U.S. government wanted to create programs for people that couldn't afford to buy. They wanted to have clean, affordable properties for renters to live in. And every time the government would get involved, they would lose a lot of taxpayer money and of course get criticized for it. And they decided, okay, we aren't cut out to be real estate investors. So now they encourage people like you and I to invest in real estate, and they give us different tax incentives. One of the biggest ones is called depreciation. And what that means is that even though your property is spitting out money every month, and even though it's going up in value, you get to write off the fact that a home as it gets older, things are going to need to be replaced, such as the roof and the carpets and appliances. So the government compensates you unless you write off against your income. It allows you to write off and depreciate. And so the richest people on this planet are invested heavily in real estate for that reason specifically, because they can bring their taxes down to zero sometimes and are very, very low compared to how much money they earn. Matter of fact, the richest people on this planet are paying less taxes than you probably are. So anyway, those are some of the main reasons why I love real estate. And if you're interested in learning more, feel free to email me at mike@mikewolfmastery.com. That's mike@mikewolfmastery, no E on wolf.com. And I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, and I could even help you to purchase strategically in various different markets. So I thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You get all my future videos. and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.